Hey, so if you're working in a small business or you're part of a small team like I am, and you're constantly getting told that you need to follow the data to improve your product or to improve your customer service or to know what's happening inside your business or your team trends, that's fantastic and that's super if you have a data analyst in your team or somebody who's skilled in that area. And also maybe you have an expensive license to put all your data together so you can get visualizations and you can get trends. But what if you're not someone who's got the money to spend or the time to spend, or perhaps the personnel that have got expertise in that area? In this video, I'm going to show you how to begin to build your trainee data analyst using AI to get you the insights that you need based on wherever your data is coming from. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to show you more tips to grow your skills and grow your knowledge with AI. So hit that like and that subscribe button and keep coming back for the next one. So we're here in ChatGPT. You can choose your own AI engine. The one prerequisite for this particular video is that I can upload files of different types. Some engines will take certain types of files, some won't take any types of files. So experiment to find what works for you. And what I have over here is I've got 3 files that I'm really interested in. I've got a main product file, if you like, so all of my data for all of my people, for all of my courses. I've then got a very specific list of people who've completed some particular courses, so a narrowed down subset of people. And then I've got data on all my courses. But for this particular video, I'm only going to work with information about a subset of people and their courses, and then all of my information about all of my people and all of my courses. So bear that in mind. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file from my computer. Now, do remember at this point, if you are working with files and AI, you need to know what the security model is for that particular piece of software. So I always pay for the pro licenses purely because I know I'm doing something that's going to benefit my business. It will save me time. So that $18, $20 investment per month is worth it. The other thing is that I read the security information about how it'll treat my data. So ChatGPT specifically says if you pay the pro license, we're not going to use your data for training. We won't show it to human individuals. We won't use it for other people's questions and queries. So to me, that's keeping my data private and it's not getting infused into the model in any way. So that's really important if you're going to be working with data. But here I'm going to upload course progress details. That's my individual bunch of people who've done some courses. The next piece, and this is the art of prompting, and there's lots and lots you can read about this. There are lots of frameworks that people will suggest you use. I'm going to use a really, really simple one, and I'm going to use some context, first of all. I'm then going to give some examples. I'm then going to be very specific about the outcome that I want. And finally, I'm going to instruct the AI engine to ask me questions. So for me, 4 things is about enough for me to remember. Generally, it gives me good quality prompts back. So just a reminder on that, it is context, it is example, it's the output that I want, and it's the questions. Okay, so let's pop the prompt in there. I'll copy these prompts into the comments of the video so you can grab those. I've got the context here. I've got a file with individuals across my courses. I want you to anonymize the user display name. If you can, be as specific as possible in your prompts. In fact, I'm going to enhance this. Anonymize the user display name and the user underscore email. So know your data. That's probably the first good tip I can give to you. The more generalized you are, the more chances you're going to get of some weird errors or it's not going to do quite the job you want. So substitute a made up name, retain continuity of names. Let's see if it understands what I mean by that. And if it looks like an email, replace with the word removed. Specifically take care to remove records where there's a reference to email in the item named email. So it's just me being a little bit verbose, I guess, to just try and nail down what it is that I want. So here's the important part. I've given some examples. If the user display name has John Mandeville and I've given the format that they'll see it in the file, then I want it to come back like this. The record I want back, again there's an error there, will be JM. I don't want it to be John Mandeville because that's not anonymous. An example of the user email will be john.mandeville@cloud365, and the one I want back is user email. Again, bit of an error there. Always worth testing these things. I want the words removed, so I know I've taken it out. Remove any reference to the same person you found anywhere else in the file or anyone that matches the email. And so that's my instruction. That's my example that I've given it. The output that I want is I want the response back in a JSON file called Anonymising Data. And then finally, ask me any questions. So let's see how it gets on. Like I say, it's always good to test and refine your prompts. Create yourself a prompt library, because you'll go back time and again and use those same things over and over again with different pieces of data in them. So here we go. So to clarify your request, you want all instances anonymized with a consistent pseudonym. Good word. Yeah, that's correct. I want all email addresses to be removed. You want any records where the item name or related references have the word email. I don't really want that one. So again, I could refine it. I could say, no, don't do 3. Perhaps I would go on to explain what I want instead. But in this case, let's just go with it. So depending on speed, depending on time of day, depending on your license, the tool you're using, this might take a little while or a short while. For me, that took about 15 seconds. Let's have a look at the results. So we've got user IDs, that's stayed the same. I've got a new name, I've got email removed. I don't appear to have anything. So there was another email that I didn't spot, a different field name, it's removed it. So there you can see that quite quickly I've anonymized this data set, so I can now use it both in this video and for any work that I want to do in the future. So that's pretty nice, but I've got the structure of actual course progress completed by actual human beings to be useful. So that's the first piece of this. I'll say at this point you can do what I've just done with Excel. You can change the top row and you can do a fill down the column to get the same pattern if you like, if you decide what the pattern's going to look like down that column. So I can anonymize a list of data in that way and then go to the next column and do a similar thing so the patterns get repeated. I could do it in code, but some key facets of what I've just done that might stand out, and they certainly stand out for me. What I've done is an end user activity. I've not had to really think too hard about it. I've just known about the information that I want to work with and given an instruction, plain English. I've not had to worry too much about the file format. So what I've just done there, you could do with pretty much any file format where data is transparent to any system, like CSV, it could be an Excel file, it could be JSON, as I've just shown you there. Lots and lots of different files, like text files, for example. So it's flexible, and it's also end user, and it's also easy because I can describe what I want and not have to go into the tool, opening up a different tool to do it. So for me, bit of a win there. Maybe you see a different way. I'd be really interested in your feedback, but that kind of thing is what resonates for me when AI is working for my business, saving me time, keeping me in one context. So let's move on to the next challenge that we might have as a data analyst. So now we've anonymized the data in one of our files, we've probably got a mismatch to any other files that our system might be collating, and we can go and align those again manually, but I want to use AI to just do a data alignment task for me. So in this second example, I'll pick the larger data set from my examples, and this one here, just a reminder, is all the people who've taken all the courses and all of their progress. So it's a much bigger file, it's a different format again, and I'm going to put in a slightly different prompt this time. So I'll use the same idea of context, example, I'll specify the output that I want, and I'll inform it to ask me questions. But I'm just going to do a slight blend on that, and I'm going to inform it to ask me questions in the process of this prompt. So one trick I've learned is that if I've just done something in AI, I can give that activity a name and then just refer to it almost like an object that's going to go and do the thing that I've previously done. So I can just use some shorthand if you like. I've said do that again, use the new file, but what I want you to do essentially is to align the new names that you've just given me to the people in this larger file who had the original names. So what I mean by that, and I've explained it here, is if I've now got JM in this new file that you created me up here, well, that was previously John Mandeville. That's my example that I know. So in the new file, where you find John Mandeville, call it JM and do the same thing, remove the email. If you don't find, or if you find a record in this new file which you've not worked on before, just follow the rules above. So in a roundabout way, that's really what I'm saying. But you'll see here, and I'll copy this prompt in for you. Use those rules. If you find something which is common across the two files, make sure they align. And if you don't, make sure you follow the rules to anonymize it. There is one specific thing that I've commented on here. I will just call this out if I can find it in my text here. So here in the text, I've put, you may not find column names between these two data sets which align. So give me options as you see them and let me choose. That's me saying, ask me questions. And then at the very end of this, I've said, ask me questions again. So let's give it a whirl. So it's first off replaying what it thinks it's understood. So you want me to apply the rule. Here's a summary of what I think I should do. Cross-reference and match the ones that have already been anonymised. Okay, when a match is found, change it and do the removed thing. Apply it to any unmatched records. Since you may not find the user display name in the second file, well, give me some options. Yeah, that sounds about right. So let's give it the chance to go ahead. So let's just say, yes, this is fine. So I've ignored that second bullet point where it's asked me a question because I don't know much about my second piece of data. I've not looked into it. So it's summarized what it can see. Name is user display name, email is that. Okay, that sounds really good. So while that's working, just to recap, yeah, again, you can do this in code. Yes, again, you can do this in a much more structured manner. And for a data analyst job, I would fully expect these things to be done in a very rigid, structured way. However, if I'm a business owner or a team leader or a team manager or a business manager and I don't have masses of time, but I still want to do these things, I'm not having to get involved in solutions to do this, in systems to do this. Yes, I need to think about my prompts, and that's a skill that I need to learn. But if I can start to do some of these simple things, it might just be enough. And that's really my point in these videos. You might be able to do just enough to get productivity from AI, which will get you that competitive advantage. So here, it believes it's successfully done this and anonymized the new file. So let's have a look. So we have a file here which has got some user IDs. It's got some names, which there's some slightly odd data there. One really important thing to do as you build your prompts and test this is to test it. Just check things. So let's open up the original file here. We've got user ID 12429 and that should be username AM. And we'll just quickly whip across to our other file and we'll see that 12429 is indeed AM and removed. And we can see the kind of courses that person's done for that same user ID. We can also see that other user IDs that are discrete have been given a discrete shortcode, if you like. So I've still retained the important information, but I've anonymized this really quickly. So I've got two chunks of data there. And if you put aside my talking and my teaching, you could do that in probably like 3 or 4 minutes. You've got two pieces of data, some prompts that you just tune and tweak, and you can align and anonymize two pieces of data. But what then if you want to do another thing that the data analyst might want to do, which is to check for errors? Again, systems can do this. You could have some level of pivot table, lookups, clever code to do it. Why not just ask AI, have I got any errors between these two files? And maybe test a few pieces of data. So use a little bit of intelligence about your data and go and ask the right questions. Now here what I've done is I've uploaded the file containing all my courses and then just another anonymized course progress group, if you like. So what I want to do now is I'm going to use a slightly different style of prompting, and what I'm going to do is I'll call it priming the AI engine, if you like. It's me starting a conversation to see what its understanding of these files looks like, and with that known, then I can go and ask some secondary questions. So an example prompt I might do here is, having uploaded some files, some data files, I can ask AI to go and interrogate the two files and give me back its version of what it sees, what the relationship looks like. And I'll leave this on screen as I talk to you, but effectively, having scanned that, I know it's done the right thing. In the first all courses file, it knows there's courses with course IDs and they've got 19 steps. So it's seeing some relevant pieces of information and giving me an example there. The second one, it knows there's people, so CL is a person, for example, that are doing courses and the course IDs are correlating, and we can see that they've completed 1 out of 22 steps. So it understands my data well enough for me to take the next step. So having primed it, I can now go and have a conversation about my data. Now in my case, I've got a suspicion, I've got a problem in my source system producing some incorrect data, but this is allowing me to narrow it down really quickly. I'll either find the answer yes or no, and it might give me some more information to go and find out. So there we go. I've not had to go and search for the needle in a haystack, but it's found a user who's got 30 steps as opposed to what it should be, which is 20 steps. And if I just pop it on screen briefly, you can imagine this was a huge file, what a needle in a haystack that would be. Let's just do a very quick search in here for the number 30. And there we go. So that's confirming that there is a person who's completed the Power Automate step up with 30 steps. There's one other thing, one final thing I want to show to you, and I'll put a correct file into here in a moment. In fact, I'll correct that one file. You can just quickly visualize things, and you might include that in your reports. Yes, again, you can use Excel, you could use Power BI for that, but if you just want simple data insights, start trying to get used to AI to give those to you, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like. So I've updated that file so it's correct, and I'm just going to ask it for a bar chart to show me, I don't know, how many people have completed all my courses. Now again, could I get away with this kind of shoddy typing and syntax in code? No, I couldn't. Of course I couldn't. Should I do that? No, I shouldn't. I should amend the prompt. But I'm just going to ask it to try and give me a bar chart on like the courses that people have completed and how many courses have been completed by how many people. So we can see that we've got some, it's given me tabular form, it's given me visual form. I can download that, I can expand it. Let me just give you an expansion of that. So Power BI step up. In my data set, 5 people have completed it. The Jumpstart looks like the most popular. So again, within like seconds, I've got insight into my data. And the wonderful thing now is it's starting to suggest other things it could do for me. I'd strongly recommend you go and experiment, or you might just say, what other insights? Just start to ask questions of your data. Now you know it understands it. Now you know it's got to grips with it. You can kind of start to figure out where you should put your attention. So I hope what you've seen there has given you a sample for the kind of activity you might do in the world of data to inform either your teamwork or your product work. And I'm not by any means advocating that we replace roles with AI, but what I am showing you is that if you've got a user need and you are scared of using AI, it shouldn't be too scary. If you just get used to some basic prompting techniques, you can get some really good insights out really simply without digging into the bigger software packages, which you may in time want to do, but I just wanted to show you that's possible right out the box. So I hope that's been useful for you. Do come back for more videos. I will dig deeper, and do remember to like, subscribe, but also pop your comments in. If there's something you want me to dig into deeper in one of these videos, let me know. All right, I'll see you soon.